game week 13 in the Premier League. We got bets. We're talking Chelsea against Arsenal is the biggest match in the Premier League this weekend. And we got some player props. We got some locks. We got some turkey talk for the Americans and, for anyone else, any non-Americans. Maybe we're going to do some rankings. Turkey banter is what I posted on Twitter. But Chris, happy Thursday. We still have some UEFA games later, but we're going to do our best to hope that no injuries happen that are going to affect our bets here.
Yeah, fingers crossed here that there's no injuries in those games to make sure to give me a loser. But the big fingers crossed here is that the turkeys turn out okay. It's Thanksgiving Day. It's nice and early, at least for me. 11 out by you. Smokers have started. We're smoking birds, as is tradition here on the RotoWire soccer podcast, fantasy soccer podcast.
Smoking birds and wagers.
Yeah. So we got a big day of we'll get the work done early, which is getting the podcast done, giving out some bets, hopefully giving out some winners. And then what we'll do is get to the good stuff and get the birds on the grill. And I got a variety of meats going on that I cannot wait to talk about later. But after the bets are, it sounds like you got to do some traveling for this Thanksgiving.
A little bit. But yeah, game week 13, we got 5 matches Saturday and then 5 on Sunday. And then game week 14 starts Tuesday. So there's no rest here. No one's resting. There's no breaks. There's no, we don't get, or I don't get, this Thursday, Friday off. But it just keeps going. It just keeps going. And Manchester City are the biggest favorite here of game week 13. Chris, rotowire.com/betting/soccer to get all these odds up. But we also have a special code that I will hand out later in the show. We got a nice little Black Friday code here. I was wondering this morning, every country outside America celebrates Black Friday. I assume it's created by, America because, it's the day after Thanksgiving, but, other countries don't celebrate Thanksgiving, but they celebrate Black Friday. I was kind of thinking about that, and that's where my head's at. But unfortunately, that has nothing to do with betting. Maybe we'll talk about the meaning of Black Friday after our bets here. But Chris, Manchester City are minus 390 to win this one. They've been a favorite for pretty much all week here. Leeds are plus 950 to win. Manchester City basically rotated outside Nico Gonzalez, their entire team, in Tuesday's loss against Bayer Leverkusen, 2-0 loss in Champions League. The news for Leeds here, they're down 2 of their midfielders, Sean Longstaff, calf injury, Anton Stach, a concussion. So 2 starting midfielders, they're down for a trip to the Etihad. That's not good news here. That's not good news for Leeds, who away from home, just not really the same team. So I think there's really only one way to bet this game. So how are you looking at this one?
Yeah, you're right. Definitely some big misses there in their lineup. Both teams, Leeds not doing great. They lost 5 of 6 here. Although you can say the same for Newcastle, for Manchester City, who are coming off a 2-0 loss to Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League over the midweek. And then, of course, lost what was a pretty good game last weekend against Newcastle. That was at Newcastle. So, give a little credence to that. But, yeah. I'm interested in this one. I think this is a get-right game here for City. Looks like they'll be missing Rodri again, but other than that, pretty healthy. I think they just overpower Leeds here. I initially looked at could I get a minus 1.5, like a 2-0 or a 3-1 or whatever it might be for City. It's minus 150, so not great odds there. So you kind of got to go other avenues, but you could always look at a number of things, but this is, we love talking about corners on this podcast. So I'm going to go to, and one thing that perplexed me, I'm going to go to Manchester City over 6.5 corners, minus 120. I think they'll just jump on top of Leeds right away and probably, we'll likely see a ton of the possession and a lot of opportunities for corners. But one thing that I was looking at in this, and it was look different for a couple other games too, is the over 6.5 is minus 120, but then you go to the, sometimes like to hit the race to X corners. Why is the race to 7 corners? It's minus 125 rather. So same bet, but
they're still money from you. Sports books
exactly.
like to steal money. Yeah,
that's what I've heard. So, just a little a keynote there, but I like this over 6.5. I think they kind of smash this corners bet, and should be relatively easy for City. And I wouldn't be surprised to see like a 3-1, 3-0 kind of really give it to them here.
I considered the corners one, but this is a situation where I think that early goals are possible. You throw away a couple midfielders for Leeds, and you got some different players in there. I think Ilya Gruyev is probably going to come in. I don't know who else or what this lineup's going to look like, and maybe they completely change their formation, which might be more problems. But I think this could be a situation where there's early goals. Maybe they don't rack up the corners because of the early goals. So I just went to goals here. You mentioned 2-0, 3-0. Manchester City over 2.5 goals, minus 105 odds. Why not? Why not? Biggest favorite of the week. One of the best outside of, I think, maybe Burnley away. I think Leeds away, maybe the second best. I guess Wolverhampton, West Ham, I'm kind of forgetting about them, but this is one of the best matchups that Man City are going to get all season. Over 2.5 goals is minus 105. Over 3.5 goals, plus 235. Over 4.5 goals, plus 500. So if you want to go big with these Manchester City goals, which I think is possible, I think it's in play. Maybe a rebound game here from that Champions League defeat. I think I think this team is hungry. They're behind Arsenal on the table. So Haaland, 2+ goals, 2 or more goals is plus 195. Haaland hat trick plus 750. We're just going big here because I think they're going to score, and I think it's just a great spot for them. So let's just go big on Manchester City, and let's just triple captain Haaland and FPL, and let's live life on the edge. Except it's not really the edge because it's Manchester City home against Leeds.
That I like it as life on the edge here. You mentioned Leeds giving up the third most goals away from home with 15 goals. Burnley, and then surprisingly, Bournemouth have given up 16 goals away from home here. So that one is a bit surprising to me. But yeah, I don't hate the over 2.5 goals for City. They should. I feel like this will be big time domination.
Yeah, Bournemouth, they had the 4-2 game at Liverpool, 3-3 against Crystal Palace. Those games
Yeah.
probably are the main reason for that. But I got the code here. Friday, just Friday over on rotowire.com, 30% off any RotoWire subscription. So get that. I believe it's live right now. I got an email about it. So it goes for maybe a couple days. You get the cheat sheets, you get the stats, you get pretty much everything else, and you get every sport. It's not just sport specific. So that's a thing to check out. But Brentford home against Burnley, I think the second biggest favorite of the week, minus 215 for Brentford. Steadily gone up here for the last couple weeks. It was minus 170. Now it's minus 215. Burnley was plus 425. Now they're plus 550 to win. And, I think it's just because Burnley away, Brentford have been really good at home. I think that's kind of what it comes down to, and coming back from a defeat as well. This is the Keith Andrews G-Tech bump is what we're calling it here. So Brentford minus 215. Do you think they're going to come through?
I do. Yeah, I really like them in this spot. It's interesting. Usually we see these odds shift a fair bit, but like this is just like going straight up the graph here. So Burnley pretty bad. I mentioned in the previous match here, giving up a ton of goals. They've 18 goals against in away matches. Brentford pretty good. They've beaten some good teams at home too. They've recently beat Newcastle, obviously beat Liverpool, and then got a big result at home over Manchester United too. Scored 3 in all those games here, so I would not be surprised to see a lot of goals, especially with Burnley kind of giving up a fair bit. And then I actually think they kind of like similar to this Man City game. I think they just take it to them. This is an overall bet, but over 5.5 corners for the first half is plus 165. I think they come out. It's pretty spicy to start. And I could see, we hit 6 corners in the first half between the two teams, and it's plus 165. So I love those odds. You could go a little bit lower if you want, but you don't get quite good as odds. And then Thiago, who's somebody who's been, kind of surprising all of us this week. You can get a Thiago to score in a money and win in a Brentford money line, and pretty good odds there. It is minus 105. So maybe not the best odds. I would have loved like a plus 130 or something like that. But Brentford, I think, get on these guys pretty early, and Thiago to score. That's a nice little same game parlay.
Agreed on both those fronts. Who in their right mind would bet Burnley away at this point? So
This feels like you're setting me up for a Burnley away bet.
I, part of my bet here, I guess it involves Burnley here, but I like the over. Okay, the over is -130. Over 2.5 goals is -130. I still think that's kind of low here, given you're
Yeah.
mentioning the Brentford goals here, but both teams to score is +100. I think Burnley are going to score. We've seen these Brentford games. A lot of these games, their defense isn't elite by any means, and they're allowing goals in a lot of these games. And I think this is just like one of those games where Brentford do get a couple goals, but it's a little more open. It's not, I don't think Brentford are one of those teams that's just going to completely dominate the entire match, and they're not going to allow chances. I think Burnley are going to get something. So if you combine those over 2.5 and both teams to score, that is about +130, +134. Or if you just want both teams to score again, that's you still get the 1-1 result if that happens. It's +100. I was also looking at some props. I always like, if you like a team that's an underdog and you think they're going to score, I always looking at those teams for props. I got a couple spots like that, but Fleming, Burnley forward here, at least one shot on goal is -120. So if you want to throw that in with some other bets, it boosts it up a little more as well. But their starting striker, he had one of the best goals of the season, a volley. I can't even remember who that was against a couple weeks ago, but maybe it was a month ago at this point. But Fleming, at least one shot on goal is -120, the striker for Burnley. So
Yeah.
uh, I do think that Burnley are going to get a goal, even if I think Brentford are going to win. I just think there's going to be goals in this one. So hopefully it's going to be pretty exciting.
Even despite Burnley giving up a ton of goals, they're also scoring in these games. So you mentioned the over 3.5 +195. I actually don't hate that at all. You've seen West Ham, Burnley 3-2. Like looking at their last five away matches, West Ham, Burnley was 3-2, 3-2 against Wolves. Obviously not the best teams there, but Villa 2-1, and then Man City took it to them 5-1. So there's like it's not like they're like going into these games giving up 3 goals, getting shut out. Like they're still going in there and finding the back of the net. So I love a little over 3.5 here too at +195.
Yeah, they're still getting goals off of counterattacks and such. Otherwise, on Saturday, I think all the 3 games are some of the more difficult ones to bet on. We're not going to exclusively talk about them. We'll see if Sunderland can bounce back. They've been difficult to beat at home. Everton coming off a massive win. They're at home while Newcastle just struggles away from home. Spurs struggle at home. Can they get points home against Fulham here? So some interesting games that I think are, if we exclude those out, those are probably the more difficult ones to bet on. But early Sunday, Crystal Palace are home against Manchester United. Crystal Palace play Thursday. We'll see what that lineup looks like, but they're not deep enough to actually rotate too much in UEFA play. I like one bet here. I think we're getting somewhat decent value here, Crystal Palace at home. But do you have thoughts on Crystal Palace against Manchester United? They are +140 to win. United off of the Everton loss are +190.
Yeah, interesting line here. I didn't expect it for Palace to be. I thought it'd be a little bit more closer to even here. Although Palace have been great this season, maybe we're just giving a lot of weight to that loss to Everton on Monday, in which they looked pretty poor. But yeah, I would feel a little bit nervous about taking Crystal Palace on the money line, but I feel like this is a stay away for me myself. Sounds like
Well,
you've got something cooking up though.
I do like Crystal Palace money line. I think overall they've been more consistent. I think they've been better than Manchester United this season. And they're at home. I am worried about the Thursday to Sunday turnaround. At some point, a team that isn't as deep as Crystal Palace, like these UEFA games, may get to them. We'll see if that comes into play here. But I mean, Manchester United away from home. We did see them home against Everton down a man and still couldn't get that goal. But like at Brentford, they, Brentford were the better team that game. It was 3-1. I think Crystal Palace can do something similar. I think Crystal Palace are, if not better than Brentford at home, at least equal to how Brentford performs at the G-Tech. So I think that +140, I like Crystal Palace here. And I don't really like the odds here, but I wanted some props. JP Mateta to have at least 4 shots is +100. But I still like Crystal Palace. I am going to take this money line because I never like betting on Manchester United. And coming off that loss, I just don't believe in it here. I am, this early Sunday match is kind of tough for Crystal Palace because I think they're in Strasbourg. on Thursday today. So a lot of travel for a team just with not really a ton of depth. So that's the main worry there. But otherwise on Sunday here, Chris, do we need to talk about Liverpool? I
we
saw this. I saw this. It's almost like an ultimatum. I don't know how true it
Loaded
is,
question. Loaded question.
but it's like Arnie Slot has to get 6 points from the next two matches, or he's gone. Do you believe this? If Liverpool do not get 6 points in the next two matches, is Slot gone? Is this real?
I
Is
don't
this
know.
true?
I would,
Do you believe in the Pasta Coglu rumors as well? Like, what's going on?
dude, that would be my nightmare. I've talked way too much smack about Postecoglou, over time to for him to be the manager of my football club. Yeah, I mean, the pressure is mounting. It would hurt me to see him go just because it's tough. There's a lot of things surrounding why they're poor this season. In form, I should say, but I think a couple pretty decent matchups here. I mean, if you can't get it done at West Ham, a team that we've traditionally, beat up on quite a bit, then maybe it is time. I would hate to see it happen, but they just got to perform better. I didn't expect Konate to go back to high school level defending, but he's not been great. So
High school level.
it's
You know,
almost like we should have spent 200 million pounds on a couple center backs, but
if I saw
instead
Konate in high school, I'd be scared. I'll be
I
honest.
would
I'd
be
be
legit scared too. He's got a lot of size on me. He's a bit, taller, jumps higher, faster, stronger. I would get beat up, but yeah.
I don't know. My high school self might be faster than him. I'll give a shout to myself there.
Wow, you got some. I didn't realize you had wheels like that, but
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
yeah. I think you for that game I would look at some overs or at least West Ham to score. I don't know what the team prop is for them, but West Ham total go, I guess, over 1.5. You'd have to get over to 1.5, and that's plus 155 for.
Yeah.
So wouldn't hate that, but
Both
an
teams to
over.
score is minus 190. Over 3.5 is plus 130. Yeah, I like
Well, yeah, 130.
I like both those. This West Ham team. So last week against at Bournemouth, they went up 2-0 on some. It was Callum Wilson doing some Callum Wilson things, I guess.
Classic.
One was an assist from Ariola, which was kind of a wild goal. But entering the second half, they had 6 defenders on the field. Like they subbed out one of their attacking wingers, Guilherme, for Kyle Walker-Peters. So they basically had 3 fullbacks and 3 center backs for the second half, and they just got smashed. I'm just not sure what Nuno is doing here. How many defenders is he going to have playing against Liverpool here? I just think that so many defensive mistakes from them, from Liverpool. Both teams are going to score. This just feels like a 2-2, one of those early season Liverpool games where it's like 2-2, 3-2, 4-2. I think it could another one of these games that can get wild just because West Ham, they don't know what they want to do here. They do get Paqueta back from his suspension, which, okay, I don't know if that's going to help defensively, but Liverpool mess. Is Joe Gomez going to start? Is Robertson going to move back into the 11? I think we're both on the goals here. I think this is a game, probably probably the highest implied goal total of any game in Game Week 13, but I think it's for good reason. I think it can go off the rails a little bit. But anything else before we get to Arsenal, Chelsea?
No, I would look at all of these games for the corners bets, or at least the majority of them are like you have to get to 7 corners for like looking at the favorites. So like Arsenal is like that. Liverpool, you got to get to 7 corners for any good odds there too. And it's a little stressed me out, but Liverpool over 7.5 or race to 7 corners is plus 105. So opposite of that first game, you get better odds with a race to 7 corners versus the over is slightly worse. So just something to note.
I also wrote down West Ham double chance at plus 110 because why not?
Don't hate it.
I don't hate it, except that West Ham are West Ham. And I'm not sure I'm best on West Ham, but I'm not sure I want to bet on Liverpool either. So maybe bet the draw there to get it exact on. Chelsea are home against Arsenal. The Sunday night showdown here. This is the biggest game of Game Week 13. Chelsea are plus 230 to win. After Arsenal's win against Bayern Munich, they are plus 120. And we have the usual injury news here, but this should be a fun game here. but the odds lean towards Arsenal. I think I'm leaning towards Arsenal. Which way are you leaning towards?
I think if you're not leaning towards Arsenal, you haven't been watching enough lately. But yeah, I mean, what do we I guess it is away from home, so that's maybe why we're losing a little bit. But Arsenal money line plus 120 kind of feels like not a trap, but that's that's the one that I would feel pretty confident about. I just think they're better than Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea's been, a little bit better, but yeah, Arsenal just looks like they've been dominant. Like even when they were, dropping points to Sunderland, they still were the much better team. Like Sunderland still had to like go out and find like a last gap block, a last gap equalizer. So I just think that they've just been like knocking teams around. And obviously, like it's been a big week for them. They smoked Tottenham, looked way better. They beat Bayern, and now you get a little bit of Chelsea. So I think the plus 120, and then somebody as I scored the hat trick in the win over Tottenham, and then assisted over the against Bayern. I wouldn't hate an Eze to score or assist at plus 120. So I love Arsenal money line. I love Eze to score or assist at plus 120. Those are my two big ones, and I just think we see another pretty dominant Arsenal performance.
Yeah, I'm on Arsenal money line as well. I think we look at some of these recent Chelsea results. They got that Barcelona win. They got that early goal. Barcelona a widely different team than Barcelona. Arsenal is. Then
Yeah.
Barcelona got that red card as well. So I don't really want to look at that too much. But this is the first game against Arsenal or Manchester City of the season for Chelsea. So they had that win. You look at their schedule, it's been fine. I don't really think Chelsea are much better than they were last season at this point. But you look at some of these results, the 2-1 against Liverpool. Okay, it's a down Liverpool team, so you still really can't compare it. They got the home loss against Brighton. They have the home loss against Sunderland. Win against Tottenham at Tottenham. Okay, but I'm just not sure this Chelsea team is improved from last season. Whereas I think you can say that for Liverpool. Sorry, for Arsenal, you can say that for Arsenal that they are improved. And even then, Arsenal were the better team in these matchups last season. So this one is away from home. So, maybe you throw that in there. But plus 120, I like Arsenal. I also like under and corners. I like under. I think you're going a different route here, but under 9.5 corners is about even odds there. We saw the matchups against these teams last year, just a little more defensive. I think that's kind of what we're getting here. Just a little more defensive between these teams. Unless, Arsenal, that game against Bayern Munich was a little different. So, but away from home, maybe this is one of those, 1-0, 2-0, 1-1 type of games. So I think it's just going to be both teams kind of grinding things out here. So under 9.5 corners. And I guess I'll have to shout under 2.5 goals, which is minus 115. So.
I was just about to ask, look, would you like the over 2.5 or over under 2.5? It sounds like you're going with the under.
Yeah, the against that would be okay. Arsenal just kind of continue what they've been doing with as getting hat tricks against Tottenham and looking really really dominant against, maybe not dominant, but really good against Bayern Munich. They seem to be clicking in all cylinders, and if that attack goes into Stamford Bridge, goes against Chelsea, there could be goals. But I think just based on how these teams want to play, based on historical knowledge we have of them, I still like the under 2.5.
I think I'm with you here on that one.
You got anything else here for game week
No,
13?
just want to shout out Eze again. Guy's so fun to watch play football.
You got a goal prediction for Chelsea Arsenal?
I mean, I had like in terms of the result, the final result, or for
Final result. Yeah, final result.
I think we see another Arsenal 2-0.
2-0, lock in the clean sheet. Yeah, I mean they should have had the clean sheet against Tottenham, and then Richarlison's goal happened. So that was fun. But yeah, 2-0. I can get with that one. I think we had the same conversation with a different game last week where you gave 2-0, and I was like, okay, let's do 1-1 for the sake of it. But I think that was a bad move on my part.
The Arsenal team clean sheet is plus 195.
I take that. I'm still not certain like this Chelsea attack is at elite levels, especially without Cole Palmer. I'm still not sure But, Garnacho and Estevao have been playing well. But again, code rotowire.com code Friday for 30% off everything. I got the cheat sheet pulled up, FPL cheat sheet. We can see the entire odds table here. Manchester City over 50% chance for a clean sheet, just barely. Implied goal total is at about 2.5, like the over in that one. And then otherwise, Brentford and Aston Villa are the biggest favorites. The fourth biggest favorite, Game Week 13, Chris, Liverpool at West Ham. I don't know if we can believe in that one, but that's what the odds show. You got any other thoughts for Game Week 13 before we get into some turkey talk?
I think we touched most of the games, but yeah, it's almost it's gotten so bad. It's like, do I have to watch this Liverpool game, or can I catch the highlights? So hopefully they pull it back. A little early start for me on Sunday, but we'll have to be back on the couch watching that one, unfortunately.
Fortunately. All right, Chris. Chris is smoking birds here. So tell us about your smoking birds. Let's get into it. If you're not interested in smoking birds, then thank you for listening. But subscribe and give a thumbs up. If you don't like smoking birds, then I don't know why you're listening to this show, because this is called Smoking Birds and Wagers.
I'd argue that this is the real meat of the show.
Do you just have that one written down and plan to go?
Sorry, I'll show myself out, but no, this is we've been doing this podcast for what, like 4 seasons. It's been a while here, and every year, around the holidays, we've done some cookie rankings. We're always smoking birds on Thanksgiving for the show, and no different than last year or the year before. But I just started the smokers this morning. We got a 14-pound bird going on one of the smokers. Just a little light work there. Not a huge bird, but a pretty good sized turkey. We're going to be smoking that one on low and slow all morning long. We'll probably eat around 2 or 3. Excited to have that one. But trying something new this on the other smoker, which is we're going to do some pork belly bird ends for the first time. So it seems like something that I don't know how I haven't done those before, but we're going to be putting those together. I'm excited. Actually, immediately after this show, they're going on, but it's going to be a great day for meat that's out on a smoker. Sounds like you're traveling. So are there any responsibilities that you have to partake in for the big day?
Me personally, no. I think there's somewhere there's a bottle of red with my name on it. You know how it goes. We did our top 3 sides last year. I think a bottle of red wine was my number 1, or maybe not top side, just top 3.
Oh my God, I'm having a flashback to I think our rankings, and you're like, wasn't like mashed potatoes, or wasn't like turkey, or any of the good stuff. It was just red wine. That's the difference here for our show.
Yeah, let me I pulled those up. Let me check these out. So my top 3: good bottle red wine, number 2 turkey, number 3. These are just Thanksgiving rankings. Number 3 pecan pie. Chris, number 1 first beer cracked, 2 steak with compound butter, 3 dinner roll. Oh my goodness.
Untraditional, but the first beer cracked, which I feel like I'm not far from here. It's a little early, 8:40, but we got the Packers kicking off at 10 a.m. Pacific against the Lions. Big game for us too. So I could see like a little 9:45 beer starting things off.
You're not having steak with compound butter. This is a down Thanksgiving for you.
I do have some steak marinating, actually. So my hot take about this, and I think we've talked about it previously on the podcast, is like turkey is kind of like not like chicken's better than turkey. I would way rather have smoked chicken than but it's just the tradition of it all. So you smoke turkey like one time per year, or like otherwise you're having like ground turkey if you're trying to avoid the red meats. But so I just love steak, so it's hard for me to.
I think that's why I put turkey number 2. It's just it gets such a bad name over here in America. I don't know the turkey consumption outside of America, I'll be honest, but in America, there's so many of the people I listen to are just like they hate turkey, and it's like one day of the year we just gotta do this turkey, and like if you don't like the white meat, get the dark meat. It's not that difficult. They taste different, and if it tastes bad, then whoever's preparing it is doing it incorrectly. So I'll be honest, okay?
It's all about the thigh. It's all about the thigh. I'm just gonna say that. And
Big big thigh
turkey's
guy.
huge thigh guy. Turkey's better as a second, as post that initial smoke or bake or whatever you do with it. It's better as like a turkey pesto sandwich. You put it in like I've had it in like a turkey tetrazzini, which is kind of like a casserole ish. But yeah, it's just way better after you put it into something.
I believe the turkey tetrazzini is a recipe straight from Wisconsin.
Joy of cooking cookbook. Yeah, best believe
It
it.
sounds familiar. I know Chris has mentioned it before, but it sounds like definitely sounds like a recipe my grandma has made at some point
Oh, yeah,
before
I'm sure.
from one of those cookbooks that is very familiar. One of those Midwest cookbooks that me and Chris are familiar with, but maybe no one else listening is familiar with. But
Yeah,
either way, so this pork belly, I gotta, I used to live in Kansas City. I gotta say, you texted this to me. I was like, it's a
you're
fraud.
quick.
It's
Yeah,
fraud. It's fraud ends is what it's called. Okay. The burn ends. We know that, true burn ends are not, just a pork belly. It's, you do the brisket, you cut off the end of it. And then, they're called burn ends because, you cook them again. But I have done the pork belly burn ends. They're okay. They're okay. Okay. But it's a nice little side for Thanksgiving is what I'll say.
yeah, like a little like candied pork. Who who hates that? I don't know. We'll see how it turns out for sure, but I think it'll be like a nice little precursor. Um, I'm gonna try to put like a little sweet pineapple glaze on them.
Okay.
When
So like
I when I pop.
A little Hawaiian
Yeah,
pork. Okay.
exactly. Get a little some scallions chopped up on them, little sesame seeds. Try to kind of do something like that versus like the more traditional barbecue, which I love all barbecue, but yeah, we'll try to get that kind of flavor profile. But I think the shout about it being a fraudulent burn end is it's
It's
not
a,
fair.
it's a
It's not fair.
fact. It's a fact.
We're smoking meat. Like we can't be gatekeepers on good meat. We gotta give it out to the world. What would you call it instead of burn ends? It would just be cubed pork belly, or like
Yeah,
cubed.
you're
Essentially, it's
smoking
bacon.
pork belly and then chopping it up and to make it look like pork belly, to make it look like a burn end, a real burn end, but like it's
Big
not.
the big Yeah, the big pork marketers have to come up with something. We need the
Like
pork
come up
lobbyists
with
to
a
be.
different name. Okay, you smoke it and then you cut it, you lather it in sauces and stuff, and then you put it back on. So like double smoked pork belly.
Candied pork belly. How about that?
Yeah, I think that can work. I think,
Okay.
candied, that can work.
Normalized candied pork belly. That's what we'll
I
say.
love that there's still some people listening to the show. So shots to whoever is listening to this right now. We're like 10 minutes removed from giving bets and just diving deep into double
Yeah.
smoked pork belly over here.
Okay.
Uh, so
One more Thanksgiving question before we roll out.
yeah, let's go.
Rank pumpkin, apple, and pecan pie.
Oh yeah, for
What?
sure. So number 3 of my overall Thanksgiving rankings last year is pecan. So you got to have a good pecan pie. You get a little brown sugar, you crisp that down. Maybe broil it so you get extra crisp up there. That brown sugar adds that nice little sugar flavor. You got to have a good pecan pie though. I know you got to have a good one, okay? And then
Yeah.
pumpkins too, apples 3. I'm just not like an apple dessert guy. So that's just
Okay.
like it's not like only Thanksgiving, it's like year round. I'm not a big apple dessert guy, so that goes into my rankings.
All right. And then follow up to that is ice cream, whipped cream. None.
Depends on the level of the Thanksgiving meal. You know, if I
How much red wine you've had?
how much wine, if I consumed a correct portion of foods during my meal, like if you throw ice cream into that, like you're not going to be feeling good at all. So probably a light little topping of whipped cream will go. We'll be just fine, I think.
Let's call it a dollop. We got to
Yeah.
call it a dollop.
Okay, we'll do a dollop and spread it on the top, something like that. What about
Nice.
you?
I think I'd swap pumpkin and apple.
Okay.
Pecan pie is god tier pie. Like if you can, my friend is coming over.
Oh, I thought you were
He
disagreeing with me. Okay, you agree
No,
with
no,
me.
no.
Okay,
Pecan
okay.
pie is number one without fail. But I will say I'm putting more than a dollop of ice cream in there, warming that sucker up in the microwave, getting it pretty hot,
That's
and then
fair.
putting some ice cream in there, and it's like, not like a soup, but it's so good. It's so good. And then pumpkin is just like it's a skip for me. But you get America was built on apple pie and ice cream, so
Yeah.
and I love a little apple pie too. But
Yeah, I think so. You get your dinner at 2, 3 o'clock, and you have your slice with the dollop. So you're 5 to 8 maybe. You're feeling good, maybe a little too full, but maybe 8:39. You're like, actually, I could use another piece right now. That's when you throw the ice cream on. So like 9 p.m., get your ice cream slice. Maybe we talked about aperitifs last week, so maybe an
oh yeah,
aperitif to go with more pie, ice cream, aperitif. Port wine. You don't want to continue into your second or third bottle of red wine. Just maybe port, maybe a little darker, maybe deeper kind of thing there. So there you go. That's a good day, I think.
I think you drew it up perfectly. The only thing I would add is maybe a little cup of coffee after that meal, a little
That's
shot of
true.
espresso, or
Yeah, maybe
whatever.
5, 5, 6 coffee. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, keep things going. Unless you're looking for the nap, it all depends on your space to nap. Are you required to stay up, or can you go down for like a little 30, 30, 45 spot? We'll
I'll
see.
probably stay up.
Yeah,
Maybe I
that's
got I
why.
got a few more years until I'm napping, I think. So,
Tell you're like the uncle who's like snoring at his like lazy boy or whatever.
all right, all right. So one more thing here, Chris. Let's build out your day. You're smoking the birds right now. So it's almost 9 a.m. for you. So about 11, you're cracking your first Miller.
I think
12, you're cracking your second Miller, and then what's the play from there?
yeah, great question. I did get stuff to make old fashions. So
Oh,
I
there we
could
go.
see myself
Okay,
starting slow.
that's
Like
another conversation. We have to have an old fashioned conversation in the future. I don't know if we want to
yeah.
extend it further here, but
I think I'll skip the wine, but I did get some tasty beers from a local brewery.
okay.
So I'm interested in trying, Miller High Life for the Packers game, and then we'll get into the Ruben. Got some stuff from Ruben's Brewery out here, and one that I saw that I had never seen before, an Ember. It's called an Ember Hefeweizen. So like kind of like a Hefeweizen, I think is a summer beer. So
Ember
I'm interested.
Hefeweizen.
Yeah, it's
Huh.
like I don't know if it's like a darker Hefeweizen, but I'm gonna try one of those. But yeah, we got a comment here. It looks like Wisconsin old fashions, which is where I'm from. But I'm
Yeah,
actually,
sweet or sour?
I'm a sweet guy. I
Okay.
will say that, and then people from Wisconsin make it with brandy, which I'm not a big brandy old fashioned guy. And maybe that's a little sacrilegious to my homeland, but I'm
That's
putting I'm
take off your Packer sweatshirt. Get that's
I'm a bourbon, put a little Basil Hayden in there, and make it like most people do.
jeez. Like
I'm just
most
saying, yeah.
people do. Man.
Well, I think the majority of people that have old fashions, like in the United States, is probably making it with a bourbon. So
We got Miles just listening live. We should do this for every holiday. Absolutely killer analysis. Shouts to Miles for listening. I think we actually gained a listener here. They probably jumped on to listen to some bets, but we're 15 minutes into uh, holiday discussion for Thanksgiving. But Chris, I was gonna ask, is one of those beers like a dark 10 percenter? Like you got to have one of those for later in the day.
my no, it's not. I'm like a I don't really those kind
You
of
don't
make I
me-
don't
you
like
don't
them.
mess with that. Oh,
I don't
okay.
mess with that. I'm more of like a volume guy, I guess, if
Those
you
are always
will.
like you get like the coffee beers and like
Those
maple stouts kind of thing. Like that's what you need after your meal. That's like pre second piece of pie, I think.
Those feel like they could be dangerous, like because they're just too high in ABV, and then you like have one of those and it doesn't sit right, and then you're kind
You
of
know,
just
if
maybe over like your a cruising altitude of where you want to be at.
spoken
Um,
like someone who hasn't lived in Wisconsin for a few years, I'll say, okay? Just not he's
yeah,
mentioning
wow,
altitude. In the Midwest, we don't really deal with altitude, okay? So that's not like a problem.
it's a metaphor, for how many your food to alcohol consumption and dessert consumption too. So I don't know. I don't like the 10%. I do I like wide variety of beer, but I'm good on things that might hurt my stomach.
All right, Chris, we're at 40 minutes. We'll let you smoke up the rest of your birds and, have another cup of coffee kind of a thing. But again, code Friday, FRIDAY, to get 30% get 30% off over at RotoWire subscriptions. Check it out, rotowire.com/soccer. We got all the content will be coming out over the next few days as well. We already got plenty of stuff going on, but thank you for listening. Thumbs up, like the show. And, thanks to Miles for sticking around and listening to our killer analysis of Thanksgiving. And hopefully some of our bets are going to win, but hopefully we enjoy our Thursday Thanksgivings as well, Chris. Enjoy our Thanksgivings, and we'll see everyone at some point next week.
Thanks, Adam.